What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the Wright State University Veteran Voices Project. I am Navy veteran and content manager Jeremy Tkach. On behalf of the Veteran Voices Project, we'd like to thank you for watching this interview and to let you know that the best way to support us, and especially the veterans featured on this channel, is to hit that subscribe button. So go ahead, feel free to smash that subscribe button, please hit that like button, and go ahead and comment and share. Again, thank you for watching this important story. Hope you enjoy.
We're recording the interview of John Moran. This interview is being conducted by Ericka Carter and Nick Dix from the Wright State University Veterans Voices Project. This interview is being recorded at Wright State University in the New Media Incubator. It is 10:39 a.m. on January 10th, 2019. How are you today?
Fine, yourself?
I am doing so well. I'm so happy to have you here, and thank you for your time.
Yes.
Where and when were you born?
Born in Cleveland, Ohio, August 28, 1943.
Okay. Who were your parents and what were their occupations?
My father was Frank Moran. He sold advertising for the Cleveland Plain Dealer, the morning newspaper in Cleveland at the time. Well, still is. And my mother was Mary Pierce Moran, and she was a school teacher.
What grade did she teach?
Primary grades. First, second, third.
Do you have any siblings?
Two brothers, both younger.
Did they serve in the military?
My one brother, Tim, did. He was in the Coast Guard. So, for, what, 4 years, I believe.
What did you do before you entered the service?
Student.
High school or college?
College,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. What made you go into the military?
When the school I went to, Xavier, told me that I should really take a semester off and reorientate my priorities.
Due to grades?
Uh-huh.
We hear that sometimes here too.
Yeah.
At Wright State. How old were you at that time?
I was 21. I think 21.
Were you active duty?
Yes, when I went in, yes.
What branch did you choose?
Army.
Why?
Why? Well, I guess my father was in the Army in the Second World War. I don't know, I just didn't really think about any of the other branches. I just enlisted in the Army.
How'd your parents feel about that?
Fine. You know, they didn't have a problem.
Okay,
So,
what year was it?
I went in 65.
Okay.
So April 65.
Can you tell me about basic training?
Went to basic training at Fort Knox. Standard basic training. You went through all the, military orientation, the physical training, rifle, marksmanship, pugil sticks, the whole thing, bivouac week, all that, just regular basic training.
How long was basic training?
Basic training itself was 8 weeks, and you had a week orientation prior when you go in and at the reception station and all that.
Did you go officer or enlisted?
I went in as enlisted, and during the basic training, as you probably recall, they give you a whole battery of tests. And they said I qualified for OCS if grade-wise or test-wise. And so I applied and got accepted and went to OCS, about a month and a half after I got out of AIT at Fort Sill.
Do you remember anything specific about your drill instructors from basic training, or?
Not really. Just, you know, tough, but fair. They weren't as hard, you know, but, you know, nothing out of the ordinary as far as real mean or anything like that.
Did you make any associates or friends?
Some, yeah, but didn't really maintain contact with them.
Okay. Were there girls there at that time?
No.
Training? Okay.
No.
Just had to ask. Where you went to AIT next?
Fort Sill, Field Artillery.
Okay. And why did you choose that profession?
I'm not sure I chose it. I think they chose it for me.
Okay.
So.
All right. Basic, Fort Knox, Fort Sill, AIT. How long was AIT?
That was 8 weeks too.
How did you feel you were adjusting to military life?
Fine. I didn't feel like I had any problem or difficulties.
You know, do this, do it, no problem.
Yeah.
Did having a father that was in the military, do you think help or hurt you in that aspect?
I would say it helped because what he had done in the military and all that, or habits, some of the habits he picked up, carried over into his raising of myself and my brothers.
Okay. Anything extra cool about being in field artillery, about the weapons, or?
No, I enjoyed it. I didn't think of it as being extra cool. You know, it was fun, you know, with the cannons, 105s we trained with, and that was good.
What is a day, because I have no idea, what is a day in the life of a field artillery private look like?
Oh, well, depends on what you're talking about in AIT, or you're talking about like in a regular T&E outfit?
Both.
Okay. I'd say with the AIT, the best as I can recollect, you do your morning PT, etc., and then you field training and go through a lot of repetition, things like that, as far as gun drill, cannoneers, positions, and all that, learning each other's duties, gunner, assistant gunner, #1 cannoneer, so forth. And that was mainly that in the AIT, learning the duties and all that, and how to orientate the howitzer or gun. Let's see. In a T&E outfit or regular outfit, we spent a lot of time, like when I was in Korea, in the field. So a lot of it, sometimes going from one place to another, travel or setting up and doing some gun drill. Just always stayed busy.
Okay. Did anybody have any accidents with the weapons? Or any mishaps, not necessarily accidents, but mishaps that you can recall?
Not that I recall. No, not in AIT. No.
Okay. You know, you get a bunch of people who've never been around guns before. Sometimes funny things happen.
They, the instructors, and they weren't, I don't think we called them drill instructors in AIT, but they were pretty good, and they had us go through it, you know, slowly, learn the steps, the routine, and then we speeded up. But they were careful,
Good.
Thorough and careful.
Good. We needed well-trained soldiers out there.
Yeah, I like to think so. Yeah.
So you said after that you got the call for OCS.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and tell me about that.
Well, after AIT, I went to a regular unit while I waited for a class to open up, and that was about, that was at Fort Sill, and didn't really do anything specific there. Since I was going to be there a short time, they didn't really assign me any specific duties to a gun crew or anything like that. It was an artillery outfit. But, excuse me, I was there about, 5-6 weeks, and then a class opened up and I went to start OCS. Excuse me.
You're okay.
So with OCS, you started out, that was a 6-month course, and they did everything they could to get you to drop out. We started out with like 120 guys in my class, and we graduated 60. So we had a high attrition rate.
Now, when you say drop out of the military or just
No.
out of OCS? They're
Drop out of
weeding out.
OCS.
They only need the best
Yeah.
of the best.
Well,
You
yeah.
hope. Okay. Okay. Where was OCS training?
Fort Sill.
Oh, so you didn't go very far at all?
No,
Just, okay.
No.
And what were your privileges when you were in OCS? Was it very much so like basic, you know?
Well, the first 2 months, they had lower class, middle class, upper class. And the first 2 months, there weren't any privileges. You just, there was, they made it challenging, shall we say. I'm not going to say, because they weren't allowed to harass us, so we weren't harassed. But we were challenged to do a lot of stupid things. So,
Like?
Walk backwards, a lot of
Front
things
back
like,
goes. And
yeah, like an upperclassman would say, hey, candidate, you want to come around and hang around my cube or my barracks for a while? And if you had to say yes, of course, yes, So you go up there and you would hang on a bar for, well, however long they felt like it.
no,
Or, just silly stuff.
okay.
Silly stuff, not bad, but just silly, and see who could take things like that. So,
Mental and physical.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did I ask you how long OCS was?
6 months.
6 months. Okay, you
Yeah.
did tell me that. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. After OCS, congratulations on making it through. What did you do?
Okay, after OCS, I went to jump school for 3 weeks, Fort Benning, for airborne. And then after that, I went on to the assignment I had, which was as a training officer, basic training officer, back at Fort Knox. So, let's see. Half of my class, we graduated in '66, and Vietnam was kind of ramped up at that time, and half my class went over to Vietnam, primarily as forward observers, with a artillery outfit, and the other half went to basic training outfits, primarily, or I think that's where most, went half and half, with the idea that at the end of because we had a 2-year obligation after we were commissioned, that we would kind of flip. We would go over to Vietnam, and they'd come back and work in a basic training outfit. During that time, Korea got a little bit interesting, and I ended up there along with probably about 15 of my classmates, and so we were in Korea, and that got interesting over there.
Okay, let me ask some follow-up questions. Okay, you graduated from OCS,
Mm-hmm.
and you were then assigned to be a basic training officer.
Correct.
What does a job like that entail?
Well, talking about the basic training is we just did. when I was going through it. You kind of help as a second lieutenant. You kind of could do anything, be assigned to do anything, whether usually you had a company commander, well, you had a company commander who was either a first lieutenant or a captain, depending on what was available, I guess. And we were to assist the company commander to kind of supervise and basically learn from the NCOs as to how that worked and all that. And it was very educational. It was a good assignment.
How long did you do that?
Did that 11 months, and then
you got sent over to Korea.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I asked specifically about what does an officer do, because when I was in basic training, I never saw an officer. I didn't see an officer until I graduated, so I just had no idea. I know they're there, but I didn't know what they may have done for trainees per se. But a lot has changed since then.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, we were there. When the troops were doing a road march or at the range or bivouac or just any training, we were there. So,
for people who may not understand, what's bivouac?
Oh, go out. Bivouac is when you go out and you, the 7th week was bivouac week, so we were out in the field camping out for, 5, 6 days, I forget exactly, something like that, but with all the nights, tents, and did some a lot of night training, infiltration course, things like that. And basic training was really basic infantry training, fire maneuver and things like. I don't know. Did you do that when you were?
We did.
Yeah.
I don't know if we called it bivouac, but then at the very end of it, we had to do a 10-mile ruck march home with all our stuff, and they gassed us.
Yeah, we did that too, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And the officers were, we were marching right along with them. So, so it's.
Where were you assigned in Korea, and to what unit?
Okay, I was assigned to I Corps, and then the 6th of the 12th Field Artillery, which is a 175 millimeter gun, not a howitzer. It was a gun, and it had a longer range than, say, a 105 or an 8-inch, and shot about a 6-inch shell, 6.5-inch shell, and it had a range of about 32 kilometers, I think, something like that, and it was on a self-propelled chassis. When I got in there, I was assigned to the operations section, assistant S3, assistant operations officer, and I did that for about 6 months, and then I got assigned down to one of the firing batteries as XO. Excuse me, executive officer, and did that for 3-4 months, and then I took over the firing battery.
Can you tell me what an average day is in XO, what that's like?
Well, the XO was the in charge of the firing battery itself. The battery commander had overall responsibility, but the XO had responsibility for the guns. There was usually a second lieutenant. The XO was usually a first lieutenant, and there was a second lieutenant who was the fire direction officer, who was in charge of the fire direction center, the FDC. And that's plotting the firing data for the guns, the deflection, the elevation, and all that, to point the gun where it needed to be pointed, and how many charges in the gun itself to shoot. A 175 had 3 charges that could be used, all 3 for maximum range, and charges like 1 or 2 for a shorter range. And all that data would be compiled by the Fire Direction Center and then sent to the guns. So, does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
What was your favorite weapon? If you could have one.
You mean small arms, or do you mean like the field artillery?
Both.
Oh, I like the 175. I thought that was fun. There were 4 guns, 4 175s in a battery, as opposed to 6. In a 105 and a 155, there are 6 guns per battery. In an 8-inch and 175, there were 4 guns per battery. And the 175 is excuse me, obsolete now, and they've just kind of combined the 8-inch and the 175. They've lengthened the range for an 8-inch, and they've got
Take your time.
yeah, I'm trying to think what they call it, kind of a assisted rounds for additional range. I heard about some of that in a reunion I went to last September for our Vietnam outfit. So, but anyway, they've modified some, changed some of the artillery since I've been in. Sidearm, I don't know, I like the M16 too. So.
Okay. It's bulkier, but it gets the job done.
It's what?
Bulkier.
Yeah, bulkier than what I think you probably used. What, the M4?
No, I had an M16 also.
Oh, did you? Okay.
And then I had a small handgun.
Okay.
Also.
45. No, you guys went to 9mm, didn't
Yes,
you? The
I had a
Beretta.
9mm after that, but I had, when I was in the trenches, I had my M16 with me.
Okay. Well, I went through basic training with an M14, so.
Oh my.
That was interesting. I like that too.
Okay.
That was, talk about bulkier. Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So you're XO, and then you're moved to the commander.
Battery commander, yeah.
Of the same unit.
Yeah.
Okay. How did that transition go for you? Were your soldiers still very respectful? Did you have any
I think
issues?
so. There wasn't a problem with the NCOs or anybody. It just, it's pretty tight-knit too. We were in the field probably 2.5 to 3 weeks out of the month. And when we went out to the field there in Korea, it was, it got a little bit hairy over there a fair amount of time, because we had North Koreans infiltrating a lot. Who was it? I think a North Korean platoon or something came down to try and assassinate the South Korean president, and the Pueblo was hijacked when I was over there. So we were on heightened alert all the time. When we went out in the field, we always carried a full combat load. You know, in case we had to stay out there, we were prepared. We felt like we were, you think the North Koreans are crazy now, they were crazy then too. And we just felt we were going to be a speed bump if they came south. You know, slow them down for a couple of days. And
how did you fare with that emotionally?
well, it was just, it was the way it was, you know, we just
get it done.
Did it, yeah.
How were you in contact with home at this time?
Yeah, we used, occasionally we would, well, let's see, was it, in Vietnam we used the MARS setup, military affiliate radio system, which was, excuse me, shortwave or ham radio. We used them as help. In Korea, No, it was all letter and all that. We didn't have any phone calls or anything like that. No iPhones.
Oh,
Bummer, yeah.
tragic.
Yeah.
Did you have a sweetheart yet?
Oh, oh yeah. When I got out of OCS and got assigned to Fort Knox, I'd say within the 2 weeks I met my wife on a blind date, and we got married about 6 months later, and came back from honeymoon, and I had orders for Korea. So yeah, I had a sweetheart.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
You had
Kevin's mother.
a family.
Yeah.
How was she handling this and the information and processing it? And
Well, probably the same way I was. She was home. She was from Louisville, and she stayed at home and was kind of going to school and working. And then when I came back, we went to Germany. So she went to Germany with, we went to Germany together. But Korea was an unaccompanied tour.
okay, of course.
Yeah.
It still is, for the
Yeah.
most part. You were in Korea for?
It was a 13-month tour, but I got extended for 14 months because of all the,
Excitement.
yeah, the activity. I don't know if you saw, but I think in a VFW magazine, and I've got a copy there, they considered that time frame kind of like a mini Second Korean War. So, and you could get, a number of guys got Purple Hearts, nobody in my outfit, but I think some Silver Stars were awarded too, particularly up the DMZ outfits.
Did you have a chance to go to the DMZ?
We were pretty close to it, but did I go up there and visit it? No, I'd say we were probably, some of our training, we were within a few miles of it.
Okay.
My first assignment, we were probably 10 miles from the DMZ.
How did you fare with the responsibility of the unit? How many soldiers were in your unit? Do you?
For the battery, let's see, we probably had, in the firing battery, probably had close to 100, because we had the gun crews, and for a 175 it took about 12 gunner, assistant gunner, and then 10 cannoneers for them. And then we had maintenance crew, truck drivers, APC, you know, the truck drivers for the carry the ammo, and a lot of, you know, it was pretty close to, it was about 100 in a firing battery then.
Were you prepared with the training from the NCO and the officer training? Did you feel like you were ready for battle?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I think we were, because we trained with that in mind, because we felt things could happen.
Okay.
So,
And
especially with everything that was the North was doing.
okay. After 14 months, you're ready to go, I assume, and you go. Where do you go next?
Okay, I had gone voluntary indefinite, so that I said that I had a 2-year commitment as a officer, reserve officer after OCS. So I weighed that and just said I'll stay as long as the Army wants me. I volunteered for indefinite status, and I got assigned to Germany, and that wasn't a company tour. So we were stationed in Mainz, Germany. That was on the Rhine River in the 8th Division. It was a Honest John outfit, nuclear capability. We were there for about a year and a half. And
how'd your wife like it?
Pretty, we liked it. We didn't have a whole lot of time as far as free time and things like that. We were generally we were not at full strength, and I'd say we were probably 3/4 to 2/3 strength. So there wasn't a lot of time, and things were kind of interesting in the European theater too at the time. Right before we got there in June, I think, of '68. They had the Prague Spring, where Czechoslovakia was going to go. They were going to put a smiley face on socialism and communism, and be a lot freer, and it was just going to have a real happy time. Well, long about the fall, the Russians had enough of that, and they marched into Czechoslovakia and cut that off. So we didn't know if they were going to stop or if they were going to come on. So we always kept our POV, privately owned vehicle, pretty full gas. If it wasn't full, it was probably about 3/4. And if the balloon went up, and I assume you know what that means.
I do, but can you explain?
If the shooting started, my wife would go west towards France with the other dependents, while I went east with the outfit to try and put a slow up to the communists. So we had that to deal with too. We did have our oldest child born while we were over there, born in an Air Force hospital in Wiesbaden. But so had that. We had lost a child too, and after we got married when I was in Korea. So
sorry for your loss.
Yeah, but at any rate, so anyway, we were there for till December '69, and then I got orders for Vietnam, or before that, and we left and got home for a little bit for Christmas, and then about weekend of January of '70, I left and went through a little bit of training at Fort Lewis, and then over to Vietnam, where I got assigned to the 1st Cav Division. First of 77th, which is a 105 battalion. And, well.
How did you feel about being assigned to Vietnam at this point?
Well, I have to tell you, when I got orders, when they came down and looked at them, I kind of, kind of clutched a little bit, but, well, it was just, I felt like I was well trained and all that, and went over, and I'd been in the Army for, let's see, just over 5 years, I think. Went 65 to, yeah, just over 5 years. So, I felt I'd been in Korea and Germany, so.
What was your reception like prior to Vietnam, being a soldier during this time frame from civilians and family?
Well, didn't really spend, we had some time, about 3 weeks from Korea to Germany, and I was at home in Cleveland with my wife and that, and I didn't experience any problems or anything like that. Likewise, going back from Germany to Vietnam, we had a few weeks there, and I didn't have any problems, didn't encounter anybody. I wasn't wearing my uniform around, and I stuck mainly with you know, people I knew in that, family and close friends. So I didn't really experience any of the hostility that I knew was out there. You know, we'd heard about things, you know. And when I came back from Vietnam, as long as we're on that subject, came back, had a little bit of leave, and then I got assigned to Fort Knox, where I took over another basic training outfit. I was the company commander then for about a year and a half. But I didn't really experience anything there either. I, you know, went right to another assignment. And
life kept moving.
Yeah.
What was the response of some of your new enlistees as far as what was going on at that time? Was
Where,
everybody...
You mean like in Vietnam or...
And in training?
Well, in Vietnam, this was kind of interesting because when I got over there, I was 26 and I'd been in the Army, what, 5 years. And
You're a captain?
Yeah, I was a captain. I'd made captain just as I left Korea. So I got assigned to the 1st 77th. I was the one of the battalion fire direction officers, assistant S3, assistant operations officer. And we were going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just, we had, there were 2 captains that were fire direction officers, 12 on, 12 off. We had a crew. We monitored each of the firing batteries' radios for their fire missions and things like that, and double-checked all the data they did. And it was just a kind of a fail-safe type thing. You know, we check and double-check independently. And when they would give their data, then, you know, if it verified with ours, fine, you know, go ahead and shoot. If it didn't, then we double-check to see who made the error. And because, you know, we didn't want to do you didn't want short rounds or anything like that. That, you know, you definitely did not want short rounds where it landed on your own troops. Yeah. So anyway, we had we each were in charge of about 8 enlisted men. And we had a reunion for the outfit last September, and one of the guys who had been in my FDC told my wife that I had helped him quite a bit, because he was just a young 19-year-old, right out of high school, didn't know anything and was wondering what it was all about. And he said that he had asked me, I didn't really remember it, and, you know, what's going on, and I told him, I gave him the big picture, I guess, and all that with, you know, why we were there and what the purpose was and all that, which must have helped him because he remembered it 50 years later. So that was kind of nice to hear. So.
It's always.
But it was. We had a good crew over there. Good crew.
How long were you there?
13 months. I was in the fire direction officer as for 6 months, and then went to took over headquarters battery for 7 months. We were standing down at the end of that, and I was asked to stay on with the as the battery commander and help the new battalion commander, because our battalion commander at that time was assigned to take over a reinforced battalion that was staying. Reinforced battalion, that was, rather than 3 firing batteries, they had 4 firing batteries. And so the XO moved up, and he asked that I stay on and help him go through the stand down. So that was an extra month. So.
Are there, you've been to a reunion. Did you keep in contact with any of the people from Vietnam over the years?
Well, we kind of, some of us hooked up. I got a call, maybe 10 years ago from one of my guys that was in the FDC at that time, excuse me, and we kind of emailed back and forth. It was that, and then another guy called and he wanted some help with application for disability because of Agent Orange. So I wrote him a letter and explained, what we were doing and what he was doing and how he's susceptible, and he got his application approved. So I stayed in touch with those two, and we added more guys, and on. And when we had this last reunion, we probably had about 9 guys that were in the FDC at that time frame that were there at the reunion.
How big is the reunion overall?
We had, well, in our regiment association, we have probably just over 100 members. And it's not only from the battalion that I was in, the 1st of the 77th, but we have guys from several of the other battalions that were over there too, that were with like the 25th Infantry Division, the 4th Infantry Division, a couple guys from the 101st. They were with a ARA, Aerial Rocket Artillery, at the time, kind of like the Cobra gunships and things like that. That's what they shot. Anyway, so we had about, I think there were 5 battalions of the 77th Field Artillery Regiment over there at the same time. So.
That's gotta feel good.
Getting together, you mean?
Yeah,
yeah, it does. It was a good time, and we had, I think, an exceptionally good reunion. We had a lot of the wives there, probably a dozen wives, 24 guys, and it was fun. We had a real good time. It was down in Amelia Island in Florida.
Are you a part of any other veterans groups or organizations?
Well, VFW, American Legion, First Cav Association.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything specific that you remember about Vietnam that that you'd like to share? Any specific people or things that happened?
Well, it was a challenging time in many ways. There were a few things. We went into Cambodia shortly after I got there, and that was interesting. We went into right across, our fire base was pretty close to Cambodia anyway, and then when, what was that, April 1st, I think, of 70, we went in, and there was what they called Rock Island East, which was just a big North Vietnamese Army arsenal. They had all kinds of weapons there. Some of their AKs, a lot of their AKs were still in Cosmoline. They'd been brought down through the Ho Chi Minh Trail, and it was just, they were there. They had hospitals there. It was just, they felt safe there because they knew that we couldn't go in there until we did. So, but I do know that in the 2.5 months prior to us going in there, we would get incoming mortar rounds, RPGs, small arms, whatever, 4, 5, 6 times a day. They'd drop 3, 4 mortar rounds, and then they'd kind of shoot and scoot, and they'd try and get the rounds out before we could get counter battery fire on them. But after Cambodia, it was kind of got almost mellow. We only got it maybe 3, 4 times a week. So
that would be a good week.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So you're all done with Vietnam. You spent your extra month helping your commander.
Yeah.
What do you do now?
Okay, we went back to Fort Knox, where I took over a basic training outfit. Coming back from Vietnam, I could kind of request. You know what a dream sheet is, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And so I put down Fort Knox because that was close to my wife's family and fairly close to mine, as close as I could, up in Cleveland. So we got there, and we were there for, about 2.5 years. And about a year and a half that I had the basic training outfit, and then I did a couple of other things. Worked at NCO Academy, was an instructor there for a while, and worked at the reception station for a while. Until, because they knew the Vietnam was over and they were winding down, and 40,000 company grade officers were released from active duty. So, you know, the writing was on the wall. I wasn't going to go anywhere else, so they, you know, what needed to be done, me and some others like me in my same status were, so, yeah.
Where was your wife when you were in Vietnam? Where was she staying? Did she stay at home?
She stayed with my family up in Cleveland.
With the first child?
And had a second child.
Okay, so she's...
Yeah, our first daughter was born in Germany, and then our second, Kathy, was born while I was in Vietnam. And we talked before about the communication. Well, we did have, things have been kind of set up. I mentioned that Mars set up a military affiliated, I think it was, radio system using the shortwave ham radio operators. And you could request a time, and you were assigned a time to talk, and then they'd try to link both up because there were a lot of people trying to do this. And that's when, I talked to my wife. I think one of the times, the first time I talked to her was right after Kathy was born. And the second time was when we were, when was that? It was after R&R. We went to Hawaii on R&R, and that was fun.
You say we. She flew out
Yeah, she flew.
Okay.
She flew from Cleveland out to Hawaii. I flew from Vietnam to Hawaii, and so we had a nice week there. Yeah, I talked to her one other time, I know, on that. Probably when I had to tell her I was going to be spending an extra month over there, which did not go real well.
Okay.
But then we went to Fort Knox, and that was a very nice assignment. Had good NCOs, and it was, they're professionals all the way. All the regular Army people I worked with, and most even draftees, they were good people. Okay. I like to think the first Cav especially, first Cav got the selection and all that. Well,
I agree.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I agree. I was in Cav, I agree.
I know. First team. My battalion commander, the one that was selected to take over as, we left a reinforced brigade there when the Cav came back to Hood. left a reinforced brigade there, and that battalion commander, Carl Vano, became Army Chief of Staff. We had a lot of guys that I served with that rose quite high. So.
Okay. After that, they're bringing the size of the military down. You take a graceful exit, right?
Yeah.
What did you do next?
Before I got out, well, I kind of got extended a few months. I requested another extension there because some guy was coming named Kevin, and they said, well, you can stay in until he's born. So he got born at Fort Knox. I don't know if he told you that.
He did not.
Yeah, he's an Army brat.
I will tease him later.
You do that. Do that. At any rate, so 6 weeks after he was born, in December, what was it? I think I just wrote it down, 17th, I want to say, we were released. And I had a job waiting for me. I had interviewed with a company up in Cleveland, and I got a job, and we worked with them. So.
What was that job?
That was with the Cleveland Twist Drill Company, and as a salesman, and after training up there, a territory in Dayton opened up, and that's where we came down. We've been here ever since.
You repeat the name of the company?
Cleveland Twist Drill.
Twist
they made
Drill.
industrial cutting tools.
Okay.
No
idea.
Yeah, they're not. Well, you use drills, I'm sure, as
yes.
Probably, but they're not. They got bought out by another company, and that name isn't out there anymore. But
did you retire with them?
No, I went into a couple of other jobs too. Since then, I've had probably about total 4 or 5 jobs in sales. Industrial products, chemical products, things like that, cleaning solutions, cutting tools, cutting solutions, things like that that I've been in, hand tools.
Did your military career help your careers later?
Yeah, I'd say it helped me be organized as a sales person for the company. For the manufacturer. I had to give training classes to the distributor salesman, or as a distributor salesman, I would give classes how products worked to the end user. And being organized, the Army helped me be organized, and when I was at the NCO Academy at Knox, I was an instructor. That helped me really formulate my presentations, my organization, and all that. So, yeah, it helped quite a bit.
Did the military help you with school or housing or any of that afterwards? GI Bills, VA loans?
I did take, I used a GI Bill when we got down here. And went to Wright State here for several years, took courses working towards a history degree, but then I changed jobs and I was on the road a lot, and so I had to put that aside for a while, and then several years later I went back, and by that time though the GI Bill benefits had lapsed or expired, and so I, just night school, and finally graduated with a history degree from here in '94. And I can't say that helped me with my job, but I sure enjoyed the history and the going to class here. So some good instructors here.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Has your military experience affected how you feel about what's happening today or what's going on?
I would say yes, most definitely.
How?
Well, in all three of my overseas assignments, we either directly fighting communism or were very much ready to fight it in, like in Germany. In Korea, it was kind of an off and on. You had to be ready. And like I said before, when we were in the field, generally if we were out of the compound, we were armed. So I got to see, you know, communism was right across the border. Vietnam saw some of the results of what they were doing, and so it made me, along with my history leaning, it made me more appreciative of our country and its constitution and the way we were founded, and trying to keep it that way. So without getting too political at the moment.
Freedom is important. We should support it, 100%.
And I got to see too, you know, the importance of faith, of religion, and that, and I'd like to say that helped me. You know, some of the times in hairy situations, having my faith, my belief in God, and that helped a lot. Helped a lot.
Nick, do you have any questions that you would like to ask?
Yeah. John, when you state in the field, so you have 7 days a week, 24-hour days, how long before you get a rest or a break and relieved?
Now you're talking about like in Korea?
Vietnam or Korea?
Well, Vietnam, we were always, I was not infantry, you know, and I'd say, you know, field artillery, and I did not go out in the field, in the bush with the infantry. Like, we had a number of artillery guys, like either as FOs or part of the FO team. As part of the FO team, you'd have like a second lieutenant who was a forward observer. You'd have our recon sergeant, who usually was an E5, maybe an E6, sometimes maybe even a Spec 4. You would have an RTO, this is under ideal situations, who was either a PFC or a Spec 4, who would handle the radio telephone. They would go with the infantry outfit, and they would hump the bush just like the infantry would. And I did not do that. You had what we call L&O, liaison officers, who were generally captains, and they would be the direct link between our battalion, the artillery battalion, and the infantry brigade. They would usually be pretty close to the brigade commander, an infantryman. And a lot of times flying in their Hueys, their command and control ships. And they'd be on the move a lot too. The infantry was really on the move. We moved, our firing batteries moved a lot, but the infantry was always out. The firing batteries would spend anywhere from maybe 1 or 2 days at a fire base to maybe a couple weeks, and then they'd move depending upon how the mission was and what kind of action we were stirring up. I was more or less back at the battalion headquarters. We didn't move that often. I was out I did go out to the fire bases a fair amount of time, either as kind of a messenger, courier, things like that. We had 2 Loaches, light observation helicopters, bubble ones. The battalion commander had one at his disposal all the time. He was always out. And we had another one for you know, if we needed to go out to the fire base, and we had a couple of, we had one bird dog that, a light ops, you know what a bird dog was. I don't know if I don't think they still use them, but flew those quite a bit, getting, directing fire, artillery fire, just observing. And so, you know, did that quite a bit. And one time I did, for about a week, was in command when we split a firing battery. I acted as a battery commander for that. But, you know, we were active. We were always going, preparing. We'd fire a lot of missions at night too, H&I, harassing and interdiction fires, where we knew that the VC or NVA would be traipsing, and we had little sensing things out in the field too that would kind of be triggered and would alert us to that, and we'd drop a few shells there. So in Korea, we were generally just out in the field quite a bit, just moving around doing, this is more when I was with the firing battery than with the battalion. Yeah, we were moving around. Germany wasn't, we'd be out in the field for sometimes either CPX, a command post exercise, or FTX, where the whole battalion went out. So
During that time, were you able to identify my stress level might be getting high?
You know, we did it so often, and it just, I don't know whether I was young and dumber then and didn't appreciate some of the possibilities fully or not, but I can't say I felt a high, you know, real high stress.
Thank you.
If you could have stayed in, would you?
I've gone back and forth. I've asked myself that a few times. Active duty, and I don't know. I've gone back and forth. Yeah, I should have. No, it was kind of getting a little bit, it was more the peacetime Army where a lot of more attention, shall we say, was paid to the regulations and rules and all that.
You didn't care for that?
Yeah, it got a little Mickey Mouse.
Okay.
I'm sure you've never heard that term before.
I have not. I was trying to relate it in my head.
Seriously? You've never heard that term, Mickey Mouse?
I might have heard it, but I don't. You make me feel so young. No, I don't know. Do tell.
And I debated whether I wanted to go reserve or not. And that was, I put that off because I was traveling. We were in a new home. We had 4 kids. So there was just, you know, a lot going on, and you know, I know they said that, oh, you know, if you're in the reserves, it's just, you know, 2 days a month and 2 weeks a year.
You know better.
Yeah, I knew better. I knew better. I knew it'd be a lot more than that.
Especially as an officer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything you feel like we haven't discussed or should be added to this interview?
I don't think so. I think it was pretty thorough. I don't know, do you, anything that I might have not expounded on, or?
You've given me wonderful answers. I appreciate it very much. Unless you're hiding some really cool story from me.
No.
No?
No, I don't think so. The only thing, and I've mentioned this, you know, when in Korea was when the Pueblo was hijacked and the North Koreans came down. And we had several of them killed by the ROK Army, Republic of Korea Army, about a mile or so from our compound. So, you know, we were, that was close. The Russians went into Czechoslovakia and snuffed the Prague Spring. And that heightened tensions a little bit. And then we went into Cambodia, so I feel like I was around for 3 of the interesting events in
history.
Yeah. So.
Do you think that you're an adrenaline junkie?
No.
No.
No, I don't think so.
Just had a job, got it done.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. I don't know, I guess if I were an adrenaline junkie, I would have gone airborne when I graduated from jump school, and there was somebody there saying, "Hey, how'd you like to join be a member of the 101st or the 82nd or the 173rd?" So, yeah, I didn't do it. I thought it was fun jumping out of a plane. You know, that was nice, neat. But if I'd done that, I wouldn't have met my wife. So, and you wouldn't have had a great landlord.
I would not have. He is really awesome.
Yeah.
Why did you go to jump school? Was that mandatory then?
No, No, there was somebody at the, when we graduated, said, "Hey, anybody want to go to airborne?" And a couple of the other guys in my class, and I said, "Okay." So about 4 or 5 of us went to jump school.
So random.
Yeah.
Okay. What message would you like to leave for future generations who will hear and view this interview?
Oh boy. What message? I would say take advantage of your opportunities, both for education and other choices. I know I had some choices that I could go back and say, maybe I should have given that a little bit more further thought. There was one opportunity I had. I probably could have gone RA at the end of a Korea tour. And I passed on that. And I should have done that. Or I could have done that, I should say. I don't know if I should have. But anyway, you know, take advantage of the opportunities you have, especially with education. So.
Well, that concludes our interview with John Moran. Thank you so much for your time today and for your service.
Thank you.